Hi, my name's Kaylin.horgan and I'm a graduate student at Goucher College for Arts Administration. And this is my thesis. The question I've been sitting with, sometimes literally in rooms like this one, is what it means to bring people together around live art in a world that has given them every reason to stay home. There's something about being alone in a room, watching something that's made for a room full of people. That's kind of where this all starts. On March 12th, 2020, every stage in the world went dark.
Breaking developments in the coronavirus pandemic.
Broadway
The death toll rising in the U.S.
They've
more than
suspended all
60
performances
dead. The number
through
of
April
cases
12th
topping
due to the
2,000.
coronavirus outbreak.
Just a short
Now, the
time ago,
canceled
New York
this
City
year
Mayor
to protect the public from COVID.
Arts venues were among the last spaces permitted to reopen. The communal rituals that structured people's social lives, opening nights, season subscriptions, intermission conversations, disappeared instantly. Organizations like the Japan Foundation responded with extraordinary speed. Their online project, Stage Beyond Borders, reached 9.5 million viewers across 111 countries. For communities historically excluded by geography, disability, caregiving, or cost, digital platforms expanded access in ways that had long been possible but never fully realized. The NEA documented that 75 to 80% of American adults engaged in digital performances, with the largest increases among young adults, women, and Black and Hispanic audiences most previously underrepresented in traditional art spaces. The pandemic also exhilarated an existing practice, capturing everything. Digital performance as archive. Preserving what had always been fleeting, making it searchable, shareable, reachable, relatable. And Opera America found that digital touchpoints were now strongly correlated with first-time live audience. The scroll was often where the relationship began. But as venues reopened, the picture became more complicated. Attendance didn't simply bounce back. And the reason wasn't the lack of interest or desire. Record numbers of first-time post-pandemic audiences engaged with live opera and performing arts. Ticket prices was the primary barrier to their return again to the live venues. People were needing to make choices. What's our splurge? And the performing arts were often losing that conversation before it started. Over time, the same forces that had been building before the pandemic, digital saturation, polarization, and loneliness intensified and didn't fully realize when venues reopened. By 2023, Americans were spending over 7 hours a day on screens, creating what researcher Linda Stone termed as continuous partial attention, a state of perpetual alertness to incoming information that keeps us from ever being fully present. Live performance asks us for full presence. The world we had built asked for something different. The U.S. Surgeon General declared loneliness a public health epidemic in 2023. A Canadian study found that 8.4% of adults reported feeling lonely most or all of the time, highest among women, younger adults, and those living alone. Loneliness increased even as digital connectivity expanded. Something was being addressed by screens, something else was not. Communities were sorting themselves, geographically and digitally, into ideological similar groups. TRG Arts found that perceived risk and messaging shaped attendance patterns more powerfully than health data. When venues reopened, decisions about attendance were shaped by value alignments. Whose institution is this? What does it stand for? Is it for people like me? Organizations found themselves needing to answer questions they had rarely been asked before.
I won't pretend I didn't get used to this. Easy, affordable, no one steps on my foot trying to get to the next seat. I can wear what I want, eat a snack, pause it, watch it with my cat. But something keeps coming back. And I couldn't explain it until I started writing this thesis.
MIT researcher Kamaya Lekawasam studies live music as a mental health intervention. What she tracks is specific: the shared psychological field of live audience, the collective breath, the simultaneous reaction, the applause that confirms, you felt that too. These are bodily events that appear to depend on bodies being in the same room. Research found consistent links between in-person arts engagement and improved mood, reduced stress, and enhanced cognitive depth. Physicians in Switzerland now prescribe museum visits as a part of mental health treatment. And the UK formally integrates arts attendance into healthcare pathways. And the performing arts venues remain among the few environments where people encounter each other without algorithmic filtering. Unlike digital platforms, which learn your preference and serve them back to you amplified. A live audience is not curated. That unsubscribed coexistence is its own form of civic infrastructure. Post-pandemic audiences assess organizations not only by artistic output, but by institutional behavior. Transparency is no longer a differentiator, it's a baseline. The audience journey now begins long before the lights go down. In every communication, every pricing decision, every signal about who the organization believes its audience is.
Post-pandemic audiences don't just want to watch something. They want to feel a part of something that invites them in.
When people feel comfortable, they let their guard down, and they're able to relax in ways they couldn't if they thought there was a right and a wrong.
Researchers call this post-passive engagement. Audiences arriving not as spectators waiting to assess, but as true meaning makers. Eloise Dark describes this as the desire for transformation, not just to sit there and be amazed, but to be changed by the experience of being in a room with other people, attending something worth attending together. The performing arts don't need to compete with digital culture. What the pandemic revealed was not a forced choice, but the expansion of possibility, and with it, the responsibility to choose wisely. For organizations navigating that responsibility, it comes down to some questions. Here are 3. 1. Does our digital offering create a genuine pathway to in-person attendance, or curate a separate digital audience accessibility? Not whether digital audiences are real audiences. They are, but whether you're using the screen as a door or a destination. 2. Does our audience understand not only what we present, but why we exist? Not whether digital engagement is valuable. It is, but whether it serves the mission. And 3, are we inviting our audience to consume content or to co-create meaning? Not whether live performance endures. It does. I believe it always will. But how to make it accessible without losing what makes it irreplaceable? So now, in an era defined by scrolling, fragmentation, and isolation, and now AI-generated content that blurs the line between real and fabricated, performing arts organizations hold rare power. Live performance offers what algorithms cannot replicate: the undeniable presence of bodies sharing space, breath, and risk. The pandemic didn't give us a verdict. It gave us something more rare: permission to reimagine. Permission for arts organizations to ask, what and for whom is live performance actually for? Permission to allow digital to do what digital does best, and permission to bring the two worlds together and not set them against one another. The path from scroll to seat is not linear, nor is it universal. But for those willing to meet their audience exactly where they are, with empathy, clarity, safety, and maybe even a comfy couch, it remains an open floor.